because CIOs are champ in their own areas and they do not expect any answer from you and me. But one thing which is there is they need to probably look at new technologies which are coming and hitting the market.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a very happy new year. I'm your host, Prasad Patkar. Today, we are doing an exclusive fireside chat on cybersecurity in the new normal. We are in 2022, and cybersecurity will continue to be a grave concern in 2022. Malicious and accidental threats from outside and within organizations, coupled with increasingly stringent data regulations, are putting the onus on companies to step up their security and data use precautions. Now, what can enterprises learn from this and do to better protect their data? Is breach organization prevention even possible? To discuss this and more, we have with us Mr. Devarshi Buch, CEO of Systech Pvt Ltd. Now, let's hear from him on what the new normal for organizations look like, the cybersecurity best practices to adopt, and what's in store for the rest of 2022. Welcome, Mr. Devarshi.
Thank you. Good afternoon and happy 2022 to all listeners, and to you too.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. Same to you, sir. Mr. Devarshi, obviously the hot topic today is cybersecurity. It has been for the last 2 years. So let me just head straight to the main part of our fireside chat, the questions.
Yeah.
Let me start with, as we all know, that the pandemic has been a shock to our systems. It has forced societies, governments, businesses, and individuals to abruptly rethink long-held practices and processes, including in basic areas such as how and where we work, teach, learn, live, and interact. Now, when it comes to tech and the cybersecurity industry, our audiences would love to know, how do you define cybersecurity in the new normal? What is the new normal according to you, and how do you define it?
It's a very good question which you are putting into me, and there's no clear and one answer to that question. Different people will have different thoughts, and different organizations will have different methodology to address the concern which you have just spoken about. Being an employee of an IT company and having huge experience in IT, I would like to focus more on digital transactions which are happening due to pandemic. As everybody may be aware that the transactions average is about 4 per day per family. When I say family, it could be united family, no matter whether they operate from urban or rural area, because the transactions on digital has gone up significantly due to lockdown, no availability of people. The shops are getting closed at a particular time and things like that. So one thing which is pertaining is cash for anyone. So the major concern which will be there is your cash has to be with you, not with someone else. And the majority of fraud happens in terms of cash stolen, or reputation stolen, or bad transactions which are happening in your system. So obviously, as a matter of first practice, you need to protect your image and cash. And that's what most of the organizations are doing. Now, cash, when I say, it's not only hard cash, it's also your business and the data which are pertaining to data, which get you the business and the cash. So most of the organizations have increased their penetration and thought process in terms of cybersecurity laws and how do they protect themselves. So this has become a board story. This gets discussed at board level. It doesn't happen only at IT level or security level. It happens at board level because they are worried about the business and future. So it's a very good topic which we feel could make money for us, because that's the business which we are into. But that doesn't mean that we will take advantage like what Ola and Uber take, that prime time advantage. We don't want to do that. So we are structured, and we are partnered with many OEMs, and we have internal expertise who can help guide the people or the firms to make sure that they are protected. On individual level, I think lot of WhatsApp messages, the Instagram messages are happening, and people are aware that not to share OTP. That's the simplest thing which one can do. that whatever happens, don't share your OTP, or you tell the wrong OTP. So that's something which people do. So I think people have to be educated. People have to practice those education, and the new generation as well as old generation, including yours and my generation, are well aware of the frauds. So awareness is one area, teaching is another area, carefulness is third area. These are the areas which can help. Besides the technology cover, which anyway will protect your business, cash, and reputation. So that's what I would like to submit at this point in time. Back to you. If you want to further drill down, I'm okay.
No, excellent, sir. Because I did generally tend to ask the new normal because there are so many connotations, and you have aptly described the micro connotation as well as the macro connotation. So I think
Yes.
we have gotten a good rundown of what cybersecurity in the new normal means. So my next question is, COVID-19 is essentially a biopandemic, but it has also brought about what is called as the cyber pandemic in the last 2 years. Could you explain, or could you just give us instances as to what has happened? How have attackers taken advantage of the pandemic? What has been your perspective throughout, ever since the COVID-19 came into the horizon?
To answer your question, I would like to probably put my input as under. I think there are a lot of videos which are happening that आपका दो vaccine हो गया है, and then it starts with that. Actually, it's not pertaining to vaccine. So there are fraud calls which are happening, and it ends up sharing the OTP. As I mentioned earlier, if you share OTP, you are gone. So I think people are taking advantage that your account, we would like to credit with certain amount. They definitely credit in initial level, but the next transaction they take away whatever is there in your balance, or your fixed deposit or your savings account. So I think important thing which I want to tell is people are taking advantage of the current situation. Maybe they will say there are medicines which are being sent by government of Maharashtra or government of India. Please share the OTP because the person is just coming to deliver. So there are a lot of things which are happening in devil's mind, and they take advantage. And the people who are not careful, I think they will ruin themselves by sharing the details. The message which I would like to give is, whatever happens, do not share your credentials. It's like it's like making sure that you and your password can be taken away, but the OTP is a dynamic one. So anything which is dynamic, do not share.
Correct.
Also, the people are looking at various other methodology to protect these things. Like this is something which is pertaining to banks, because none of the banks will allow you to do transaction unless you have something called two-factor authentication. Now, when I say two-factor, one is your username password, the second could be your biometrics or the thumb impression or the OTP. I think most of the organizations are implementing that because ultimately the crimes will go up, and ultimately what I foresee is the money gone is money gone. You cannot recover. On business side, they need to have strong firewall encryption policy. Government of India is also putting a lot of regulations by means of SEBI and RBI guidelines. IDRBT is another one who's also putting their cybersecurity framework to protect investor, common user, as well as organization. So I think it has taken a big wave, and it will continue because this one has to fight every day.
Yeah.
So I think it's something which one has to learn and practice, because new things will come in and new frauds will come every day. But one has to protect themselves from those things. It's like thief on the road. If you are careful, if you have a group, if you know what to do, I think you will defend yourself.
Correct. Correct. Great, sir. Like you've said that theft, fraud, data breaches, I mean, they have been making news more than ever. There's news almost every day.
That's right.
And data breach is not only newsworthy, it's also very costly, not just for the large companies, but also for the SMBs. What do you think
Absolutely.
should be the critical steps should be taken to prevent such data breaches?
There is no one answer to your question once again. There are various things which one can look at how to protect. For instance, let's say that if I am a home user and doing transaction from my home, I may have broadband or I have my mobile, and all the credentials will be there in my mobile. So I'm sure that if you take somebody's mobile and put Gmail, his mails will just get opened up, because many a times emails come through, or the OTP comes through email also. So the protection has to be done at individual level on assets own. So a change of password could be one simple thing. Every 15 days or every 30 days, change your password and remember the password, because it's pain if you forget the password. The second thing is, at home you have broadband, or you may have any service providers, and the neighbors also may know your password of your access router. So it's important that the moment things come, you change your password and make it a little complex. Don't make it simple on your birthday or your name plus surname and things like that. So complexity on password and regular change of password is one thing which I can talk about. Second thing is, you can't change your mobile, so your OTP is going to hit your mobile only. So ensure that your mobile is always with you. Don't leave it abandoned, because it's very easy to crack the mobile. Even at gunpoint, people can do it. And if you happen to be an victim of such fraud, inform police immediately, because they can think of doing reversal of transaction, or they can find out the theft if the theft is done and you do the FIR well on time. At organization, it's something called zero trust. No employees are trusted in organization, whether it's employee or maybe it's contractor or maybe it's supplier or maybe a buyer. It's zero trust which is happening in organization. So nobody is trusted. You prove who you are, and once you prove, we will let you do what you want to do, and that too, we'll audit what you have done. So many organizations have started auditing. So what you have done during the day, because work from home is one concept. Whether you work from home or work for home, nobody knows. And having said that, it's important that organization would like to look at productivity and make sure that they are doing the right thing at right time. And there are a lot of technologies which give you right data at right point in time. So those technologies people have started deploying, thinking of budgeting that. Many organizations are not budgeted. So they have started budgeting those technologies for betterment of organization and business. So at organization level, it's on zero trust. At individual level, it's password protection of your mobile and making sure that gadgets are within you or your custody, not even with your family or friends, because theft happens within rather than going out and doing. So they just try to get into the house. And if you are in the house, they will say, where is the gold? And they will take the gold. Otherwise, they have to hunt and they have to search. It takes time. So that's the answer to your question. And okay to probably drill down further if you have further questions on this thought which I have just shared with you.
No, great, because uh, you have given a multi-pronged approach. You always tend to talk about what happens at the society level, at the government level, at the organization level, at the business level. So this kinds of, sums up everything. You tend to
That's
give
right.
crystal clear answers to all the facets of different facets of tech and life that we live in. Sir, my next question is about data protection and cybersecurity. I mean, we have debates. We can have ample debates about the terminologies and the semantics of whether or not these two things ought to be separate or they are separate. But do you think data protection and cybersecurity should or should not be separate functions? Like, what's your view on that?
This will be applicable only to organizations. It will not go to retail.
Correct.
But different people will have different philosophy and thoughts depending upon organization structure which they are having currently. For
Yeah.
instance, that there may be an IT head and there may be an security head. So if the organization has implemented both of them, they need to survive on this earth and do the justice for the organization. So in such cases, there will be parallel streams, or there will be merge streams where they will work hand in hand to make sure that everything is protected, including the data and the business which they are in. The second one is legacy time. I think it was an IT head who was also responsible to protect the data. So if you look at a very small organization, maybe 100 or less people, there will not be CISO or chief security officer who will be available. So IT is responsible, and IT has to make sure that both of them are managed well. So organization to organization, the things may differ, but ultimately the whole idea is the governing body or your own policies have to be tweaked to make sure that they are industry standard. For instance, let me tell you, SEBI has their own framework of protecting data. And one simple thing which they talk about is the data in motion and data in rest should be always encrypted. And that encryption level should be known only to people who are using that data. So no outsiders, even if they take away the data, they will not make any use of it because it's useless. It's like giving you, if you don't know, I mean, assuming that you don't know how to read Japanese, if I give you a book in Japanese, it's of no use to you. Ultimately, you will give it in Pasti or Raddi and maybe make some money. So they just throw the data because it's of no use to them. So encryption is one level of protecting your data. The second thing is skip what right data is required for right people. So there are a lot of techniques which are available, or there are a lot of OEMs who give this solution. And this also could be probably for certain period of time to be viewed. For instance, let's say that the common theft which could happen is you take the snapshot of your screen. So if I'm a thief, if I have something on your screen, I'll start taking photograph of what's there in your screen. Yes, that's a theft. But there are technologies available which will shake maybe 30% of your top screen. So once you have read 30% of it, then it will give you the balance one, you know. So there's screen shakiness also could be one of the technology which high-end people would like to do it, which is data sensitive. So they cannot even take the photograph or it will blank out suddenly. So there are multiple technologies which are available which could protect your data. Encryption is one. This another technology, username password with multi-factor authentication is third one. So protection of data is at individual level. I would like to give you an example. There, I will not name the company for interest of everyone. There was a company based in Mumbai. There was a huge theft of about 130 crores on Swift transaction. Now, the ultimate thing, what happened was the police came, the police came, they searched, and they found password stuck on the notice board. That is user's desk. In front, there was a username and password. Now, if I am a thief, I will just go read that, and I can do that from anywhere on the desk because I'm in the house. So I think those level of carefulness has to be given, that don't display your password, don't show your password, keep it to your mind, and there are always ways and means to reset in case if you forget. So I think an individual level responsibility and sensitivity will help organization protect, and then at group level and then at CISO level, I think it's everybody's responsibility. It's like terror protection in any country is everyone's responsibility, where you would like to check and you would like to control. So I think it's responsibility of every human working therein, including sweeper, who also, if he finds something, he has to notify. And whistleblower concept could be another one, that if you find something wrong, give it to the right person and make sure that things are not working the way organization is thinking of.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's what my view is all about.
Thank you, sir. In terms of organizations, it's new year. I would like to know what are some changes or some pivot that Logic Systech is bringing to the table. It could be cybersecurity or it could be the other services.
All right. So as part of the company, we have certain goals or ideas which we are doing. For many customers where we know that this cybersecurity is not available, we are educating them on the risk which they carry. Of course, we have partners like IBM, we have partners like Microsoft who help us to do this. So we go along with them and we try doing those activities of awareness. First, let them be aware, because once they are aware, they will probably look at solution. If they are not aware, they will not even look at solution. So it's like selling insurance premium, you know, so you need to educate them. What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks and things like that? Second thing which we are doing is events. So we plan events for those people to give technical, and this happens at CXO level, not at IT managers level or IT help desk level. So that's another thing which we are doing. Third thing is, in case if they get into any impacted issues, we go and help them to address them. So these are all quick firefighting services which we are giving to only known customers or known people. We don't go to everyone because we are not so-called masters, or neither we are police department who will be able to protect them. The other one which we are doing is we have partners for whom we can do cyber insurance policies. So that's another one because that's important for everybody. So insurance will help you to recover whatever X amount they can. So most of the banks, I think RBI, it's compulsory that all the banks have to have cyber insurance policies inside. So we help them to create those cyber insurance. And the last thing which we do is we do the audits. They may have incorporated cyber security, but whether it's up to the mark, whether you have latest version available on your firewall or your policies are well defined, because even simple thing like username password, it could be for complexity of last 10 password you cannot use or last 5 password you can not use. So we help them plan, we help them deploy, and we help them audit and then do the correction if required. So plan, act, do, check is what we do with most of our known customer or known industry people. So that's what our message is, that if you are not prepared, contact us, come through IBM, come direct, we will help in whatever best capacity we can to protect your interest. So that's what we are doing. And on individual level, our own team has been educated not to use password. We have tools available, which is called VPN. So nobody accesses data except they come through VPN. The passwords are automatically logged every 45 days if they don't change. So they have to go through the pain which they have to do. So there are a lot of policies internally we have done it. And externally, we advise people to do and follow those checks. Now, it could be 45 days, it could be 30 days, or it could be 60 days. Organizations will and power to do. So that's what we are doing, and we are happy whatever we are doing. Our customers appreciate that, so we are happy
Great.
about doing. And these are all services which we don't normally charge anything unless it's an long-term association.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, taking a holistic approach and serving the external as well as internal stakeholders. Uh, Sir, we are moving to the end of the session. Obviously, you've given us a lot of instances, a lot of examples in daily life and at the organizational levels. But you you have the skin in the game. You have been in the thick and thin of it. What have you learned over the last 2 years from the field, and what would be your recommendations for the CISOs?
Uh, Difficult question, but let me try answering that, because CIOs are champ in their own areas and they do not expect any answer from you and me. But one thing which is there is they need to probably look at new technologies which are coming and hitting the market, or the new ways of cyber threats which are coming and hitting the market. Second is they need to create the case papers that if this happens, it's what if analysis. If this happens, how are they going to address? If security policy is compromised at any level, it could be internal, it could be external, it could be theft of laptop. How are they going to protect their individual data, and how quickly they are going to respond? So they, besides them, they need to probably educate the team also to do the right thing, and this has to be on 24/7, because if you see most of the theft in houses happen or in the organization happens when organizations are shut or people are sleeping. Similarly, this cyber threat will also happen when CIO is sleeping. If CIO is awake, I don't expect any cyber threats to happen. So they need to sleep well, if they and they will sleep well if their house is in order. So I think the house orderness is something which I will talk about. And technology is changing, the areas are changing, the encryption levels are changing. So I think they need to make sure that they have enough budget to implement those things, because budgeting is one area which they have to do year on year. And if they have done right budget and right sizing and right technology deployment, I don't think there is any worry. The only thing which they need to do is they need to know how their peers or how their other competitors are working, or how other OEMs are offering better services. So an engagement level is another one which I will talk, whether you buy from that OEM or not, but engagement model has to happen, because not one security is going to help for entire protection. You may need to have multiple security standards for doing the activity. And SIEM is the last thing. If you have not implemented SIEM, make sure that you have log generation. You look at those logs, how people have behaved and what happens. So that log generation and SIEM tool could be one area which I will recommend if not implemented. So these are something which I can talk, and they obviously will have checklists, so that checklist can be revisited by using Google or OEMs, and they can protect themselves further. So a lot of inputs for CIOs, those who are probably newly come in. Otherwise, I think they're all seasoned, and I don't have to say anything to them.
Yes, definitely, sir. I think we have gotten some wide range of perspectives over and also some honest answers to questions. Uh, Predicting what will happen in the year ahead is well unpredictable, but taking a retrospective view of the past year can help improve enterprises' cybersecurity posture, as
Absolutely.
well as offer additional chapters in CISO's best practices handbook. But thanks to you, sir, for providing a sneak peek into the future, as well as providing a good rundown of the lessons which we have learned from the past. It was great to have you, Mr. Devarshi, and
Thank you.
I personally got a lot of information and new tidbits about what's happening in the cybersecurity industry. We will obviously love to have you over and over again for our future conferences,
Sure.
panels, to have some more perspectives from your side. For the time being, it's time from our side, and we will see you again. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, and goodbye to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome.